Hey everybody, how's it going? I hope you're having a lovely day. So today I'd like to talk about a tweet that Elon Musk made that, regardless of what you think of Elon Musk or Twitter, I think might actually lead to something good for everybody. So he was talking back and forth here about, Apple potentially not allowing Twitter onto the App Store. Apple has threatened to withhold Twitter from its App Store, but won't tell us why. Apple should publish all censorship actions it has taken, how it affects customers, going after the 30% secret tax in the App Store, and the stuff like this that I am, regardless of what I think of Elon Musk or Twitter, I'm happy to see him bring up. And he made this tweet the other day. I certainly hope it does not come to that. But yes, if there is no other choice, I will make an alternative phone. This is something that's most certainly worth discussing. The first thing that we should discuss here is what it is he would be trying to accomplish. What problem are we trying to solve? Here, the problem he would be trying to solve is the fact that Twitter would not be an application that is installable on most people's phones anymore. And if they can't use the app on their phone, that will lead to decreased use of Twitter. So what he would have to do here is create a way for people to be able to use Twitter on their smartphones again, even if Tim Cook or Sundar Pichai don't approve of the applications you're using. Now, when it comes to iOS, there's really not much most users are going to be able to do there because this operates within a very, very walled garden. You can only install apps that come from the App Store. And this is one of those things that I talk about a lot on YouTube, how with each paradigm shift, we lose more freedom. As we've gone from internal combustion engine vehicles over to electric vehicles, it is slightly more difficult to do a lot of the repairs that require pairing and access to the computer and so on and so forth when it comes to just cell phones versus desktop PCs. If you had a desktop or a laptop, you could just install an operating system of your choice. You could install the programs of your choice. Then you buy a smartphone, you can't install the operating system of your choice because the bootloader is locked. And with an iPhone, you can't install the applications of your choice because you need to go through the App Store. With each new progression of technology, a little bit of freedom winds up being taken away. And this is one pathway by which I think we can inculcate people into understanding why that freedom shouldn't be taken away and why we should fight to get it back. Lots of people use Twitter, and like him or hate him, a lot of people love Elon Musk. Just read the comments in any video I do mentioning his name or Tesla. My God, there are a lot of people that would lick that man's balls clean if there was even a drop of sweat on him. But here's the thing. That standing power can be used for good here. Here's how. Imagine getting tens of millions of people to understand that it's important to have sovereignty over your device, that it is important to be able to install the operating system of choice in your device and applications on your device. People have kind of had the pendulum swing very far in the other direction. When I was a kid, we had something called Windows XP Service Pack 1. And if you plugged Windows XP Service Pack 1 that just came right out of the box into your Cat 5, into your router, and turned it on, there was a 50% chance that within 5 minutes of turning on Internet Explorer 6, that you had herpes. This is, I'm not kidding, actual herpes. This was a horrible, horrible operating system and a black eye on the history of the internet. It was just bad. It was almost as bad as the cat being out of frame in the video because I didn't put the camera in the proper place when I was setting up the video. It's almost that bad. So we went from that, where people could just download whatever the hell they wanted from Kazaa and, Eminem-withoutme.exe and get a virus from everything, to just 7 years later, the most popular new personal computing device is going to be a device where you can't install apps unless we say so. And in my opinion, that swung way too far in the opposite direction, and we have been content with that for 15 years now. There are people that got an iPhone as their first personal computing device when they were 10 years old that are old enough to drink now, that for maybe most of their life had their primary personal computer be a device that they could not install apps on of their choice. And that's insane. With Android, it's a little bit better. You have the Play Store, which is where most people get their applications from, and if they decided to ban Twitter from the Play Store, that would be a shame. However, you can at least sideload apps. You can download something called an APK file. It's like an exe file on Windows or a deb file on Ubuntu or Debian, and then you could download this file from a website, and then you could actually install an app on your phone that you want to install. Even if Sundar Pichai doesn't like that particular app, you have control over the device that you purchased. There's also something called the F-Droid store, which I use regularly. There are applications on here that are not on the Play Store because they would get kicked off of the Play Store, like NewPipe, an alternative YouTube viewer that I don't think Google's a big fan of, and you can download apps like that from the F-Droid store. So what Elon Musk could do that I think would be genuinely good for society, regardless of my thoughts on Tesla, Elon Musk, or Twitter, and something I hope he succeeds at, is normalizing the idea that if you paid for your computer, you should be able to install an app of your choice on it. There are people that if you talk to them and you say, hey, download this file from this website and install this app, they'll go, I don't want to install a random app for a website. That could be dangerous. And back in the day, what we used to do is do a little bit of our own research, ask around, see if a couple of people that we knew used the application, and then we would download the application and install it without listening to our corporate overlords that said, it's okay, because don't worry, it's because it's in our walled garden. You can trust it, but don't trust anything outside of our walled garden. And that is a good thing. Getting people used to the idea that that's their computer and they should be able to install any application of their choice on that computer, whether by downloading an APK file or through an app store, as long as they do a little bit of their own due diligence and research. That's a good thing. I want to see that. And if Elon Musk can make that happen as a result of his cult of personality and his fan base and the fact that a lot of people like Twitter, good for him. I personally think Twitter is a dumpster fire of a platform. And that's not because Elon Musk purchased it. I said that 3.5 years ago when I deleted my account on Twitter and announced it in a YouTube video. But that's aside from the point. If he can get people to ask and demand more sovereignty from their technology, good on him. Now, when it comes to the concept of making your own phone, that's something that I think is kind of unnecessary in this case. As I said, you don't need to use a different operating system. Android will allow you to install applications from an APK file or to use things like the F-Droid store just fine. You can sideload on Android. You can install applications of your choosing on Android, and if you don't like all of Google spying on you, then you can use a much more hardened and secure version of Android like GrapheneOS, which is a fork of Android open source project, which I go over in this video. It is my daily driver and my favorite of all the Android open source projects made by Daniel McKay. It's really cool. And you can then have Android not deal with any Google spyware bullshit and also be able to use Twitter or any other application of your choice that you can install from the Play Store. Creating your own phone with your own hardware, with your own operating system, just to get Twitter to work would be like me building my own house from scratch because the realtor that I was going to purchase this house was difficult to deal with. I'm not going to build my own house from scratch because I don't like a realtor. I'm just going to find another realtor to buy the house that I already wanted because building a house from scratch is an insane amount of work. However, if Elon Musk did decide to make his own phone, and he just so happened to, let's say, go with something like a fork of Android, this could also benefit us as a whole, as a society, when it comes to our technology. So as I've gone over in this channel many times, Google has these exclusivity agreements with the hardware manufacturers, and it goes something like this. If you want to use Google Play services and Google software on this particular device, if you want to have access to that, then the versions of Android that you offer on your devices must be forks of Android that we approve of. So if there's a fork of Android that, I don't know, makes it so that our spyware does not run as a trusted app, but rather runs as an untrusted app so it can't spy on you, that would not be an approved fork of Android. That the hardware manufacturer is not allowed to put that on the phone. They actually got fined for this in India. This isn't even about edgy distributions that don't allow Google spyware to run or that kind of put Google Play services in a sandbox like GrapheneOS, but even for basic milquetoast crap like Amazon and Fire TV, they had to go back and forth with antitrust regulators in India just to be able to have a hardware manufacturer produce a device that ran a fork of Android, which is an open source operating system. So if Elon Musk wanted to create a device using an open source fork of Android, who better to start throwing the book at Google and destroying these exclusivity agreements than somebody who's worth over $100 billion? You don't have to like Twitter. You don't have to like Tesla, and you don't have to like Elon Musk to think it is a good thing if he shines a spotlight on this anti-competitive behavior that Google is already being fined for in other countries. This benefits everybody. And I think that that's most likely what he would do if he wanted to make his own phone. Again, making your own phone is not necessary to have Twitter installed on the device, but if he gets that idea in his head and wants to go for it, I think that that would be what he would do. I think that would make more sense than starting from scratch. Many people have tried to have their own operating system, and many have failed. Palm, Nokia, RIM with BlackBerry, they've all gone the way of the dodo. If you want a device that actually has some adoption, it really is at this point iOS or some sort of fork of Android. And if he tried to create a fork of Android that allowed you to do whatever it is that he wanted to do, I'm pretty sure Google wouldn't be okay with it, and they would be telling all the hardware manufacturers, as I mentioned in these two videos, oh, Samsung, Motorola, everybody else, don't allow this fork of Android to run. Who better to fight that bullshit than somebody worth $100 billion plus? I'm very interested to see how this goes. I am very interested to see how this goes. And more so than fighting the Google anti-competitive sit, I'm really, really excited to see if he's able to inculcate into normal users the idea that installing an application that you download from the internet onto your computer is normal. It can be done from outside a walled garden. You as an end user are not so dumb that you need to be protected by our walled garden app stores, that your freedom is a higher value than that. If he's able to get that across to average everyday people, more power to him. Shit, if he gets that across to everyday people, I might just pay $8 a month on that piece of shit website. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Before we end the video, though, 2 things I'd like to announce here. I have started doing open to the public repair workshops here in Texas for FUTO. I will include a link down below in this video. You could see somebody managed to leave with a working iPhone after they destroyed the volume button, flex, and vibrator silence switch on their motherboard. They left with something working. So if anybody's interested in that, we are holding these workshops. They are free and open to the public in Austin, Texas. And the next thing I'd like to go over is this paid fellowship program that we're also doing here at FUTO. So we have a grants program where we pay people who are creating really cool open source software that they email us about. And we have another program, which is a fellowship program. This is an in-person program where you come by for 3 months. We pay for your housing, we pay for your travel, and we pay your team members and you $20,000 for that period of time to create a really cool piece of freedom-respecting open source software that respects the end user. This does not have to be software that we are going to use. There are no strings attached to this. It's literally email us your idea for how your software is going to make the world a better place. And if it's open source, if you're open to come in Austin, Texas, we will pay for your office space, your housing, your travel, and you'll also get mentorship from veteran Silicon Valley programmers, including the guy that created Yahoo Games, who also did a lot of programming for WhatsApp before it got sold to Facebook. So that's it for today. As always, hope you learned something. I'll see you all in the next video. We got 1 audit before. We had 1 cat in the chair. We have 2 audits now with 2 cats in the chair. So I'm not letting a 3rd cat jump on the chair. I hope you forgive me there. Somebody brought it up in the comments and I never really thought of it. 1 cat, 1 audit. 2 cats, 2 audits. So no cat's going to be allowed to jump up here. Hopefully you don't mind that. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.